Here we go. Okay. Guys, give me some action. Let me know that we're live. Let me know my audio is coming through okay. Let's do this. I think we're good. Just waiting for some reaction here. Nancy, you can always smell the flowers. Okay. Tammy tells me hello. Hello, Tammy. Let's get rolling here. I prepared a little statement just because I'm still on edge about this whole thing. Because, listen, I am so nervous that I'm having some kind of imposter syndrome, and I don't know. It's there's a lot going on in my head, and is it really Michael's project? Is it mine? Is it? I don't know yet. So, thank you, Jamal. Looking and sounding good. First issue is first. As you guys know, loyal Smirkanish listeners, I was worthy enough to inherit this console. I'm sure I'll take you around this one day and show you like all the cool tricked out features he has. He literally has a cough button that's integrated to the desk. And right over here, he also gifted me with this. See that? Okay. Now, I don't know how I should design this background space here, because I'm Charles, not Michael, but I have been listening to Michael since I was 17 years old, and nearly 16 hours a week ever since. So like I want to post it as sort of like a homage to him, but I don't want to impersonate or I want to have sort of my own identity. Another thing I like to say as a good old New Yorker, I bleed pinstripes. So this is going to end up somewhere there. So I'm getting this whole thing set up. Nancy, Charles in charge. I wish I would get content stricken so hard. But anyway, like I was thinking that would be my deal. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Part of the community for what, 3 years at this point, I think. And I wouldn't let it go for the world. Gonna read off a little statement just to have on file, and then we're gonna get rolling because I have an exciting feature that I was looking into yesterday, and I'm really excited to do. Okay. Good morning, everyone. First off, thank you for being here, especially the familiar names. I want to acknowledge right away that the room exists because of what Michael Smirkanish built, going daily every morning, 8 a.m. and 7:30 on Saturdays. It's not about replacing anything, but it's about keeping the room open and keeping the community together. I want to be very upfront about the expectations too. I have to be honest, and that's the only way it works. This is a hobby for me. My full-time job is in e-commerce, totally separate field. But I am super wide into the news, always have been, and this role of sort of creating the content around it is something I always wanted to do, but I need the focus to do it. And most brain power's got to go to where I make my living, but this is just a passion project of mine. What I'm someone who thinks seriously about questioning things, contemplating, critical thinking, to hit on yesterday's program. And I like to either agree or disagree really, really loudly, but respectfully. I will be opinionated. The thoughts will be my own. Sure, what ties us all together is the Smirkanish program, but it's going to be my own opinion. Let me start that over. It's going to be my own opinions, my own thoughts, and I'm not going to be afraid to profess them. In terms of cadence, I don't know what I'm going to be able to commit to. I mean, I was just teaching my 3-year-old daughter the 50 stage. She just learned all 50. Like, we just got to that level. It took us like a month. And I'm not quite, and right now, they're having family breakfast, maybe from 8 to 8:30. 8:30 they go to school. I have to see how it works in my personal life. Right now I'm broadcasting from the old Smirkanish console, But sometimes I may be broadcasting from my office before I start my workday. I just maybe need to get in a half hour earlier. I don't know. But the cadence is going to have to be a collaborative process between us, between you, every day, every weekend. You know, we're going to do this together. And for that, I would need you to please sign up for my email list, because that would also allow me to bring you guys in as guests. So if I'm going to be covering a certain headline, I'm going to evoke a certain reaction, you'd actually have the functionality to raise your hand and I could bring you into the stream. You'd be actually appearing right next to me and we'll go from there. So I can actually interact with you guys after I give whatever opinion I want to give, and whatever news story I cover, and maybe want to provoke you guys to think a certain thing and to contribute something to the stream as a whole. You will need to be on a desktop, but that's something that I'm working on and we could definitely do. Brings me to the most important part. I want to build this with you. I don't want this to just be like me regurgitating a bunch of headlines that I think are important and my opinion should be. I can definitely incorporate everything that Michael covered in his program yesterday for today and sort of react to it. I did prepare a few things like that. What do you want me to do? Do you want me to go through headlines as I've seen them? I mean, I know last time, if you actually go into this stream's playlist, you see the past time I did headlines, and I just went through how I inform myself every day. There's a lot of newsletters and stuff that I get. Yeah. So I mean, something that I'm not doing. I'm not waking up at 4 a.m. and reading in so that I can do this live stream, just because, time, Okay. Now I want to hear from you. I'm going to scroll through the comments and let's see where we are. Boo Yankees. Sean, we have to have a talk. Cool. Just the regulars today. Thank you, Jamal. Mattingly is a Philly. No. We have 27 rings and I'll take it. Sean, I could include TC at any time. You just let me know how you want me to, or unless that's directed to me. So cool. So, and thank you for the headlines. Yes. And the poll questions. Okay, cool. So that's a good transition. It's a good transition because yesterday's program asked, again, I'm doing this from memory. I'll have it prepared next time. Is the Minnesota fraud normal, routine, expected, or not? So here's some research. Again, as a business owner, I this is not just for me. Sean, I've been alive for like 5, but I've only consciously experienced one of them. Back to the topic. When it comes to the Minnesota fraud case, we all know Michael loves the fraud that happened during the CARES Act, or I'm sorry, let me rephrase. He loves covering the fraud that happened during the CARES Act and stuff like that. My business was, undergoing a huge crunch, meaning everybody was shopping online. So my business was like really reeling during the times. I mean, people were just ordering like crazy. If you had to go back to the e-commerce days, and guess what I sold? Housewares, soap, detergent, body wash. I mean, are you kidding? I can definitely link to an episode that covers my business during that time period. And being as obsessed as I am with the news, I couldn't help but think, where is all this money going? And I educated myself. I knew what the SBA was. I knew what W-2s were, because of course I take care of the administrative side of the business. And I was wondering how in the world the government was going to process so many data points and applications. Fast forward to when the money gets dispersed. Later that year, I saw people buying luxuries who were business owners. And there was the running joke that, they got PPP money. So did fraud happen? It did. Here's something Michael didn't cover. He said with a 64% certainty, the statute of limitations was actually extended on that, but it wasn't. He was wrong. It was. For PPP, it was extended. For the EIDL loan, well, for the EIDL loan, it's basically over 30 years on 99% of cases. And you can actually go back and audit the loan over those 30 years. So statute of limitations is somewhat irrelevant there. And for the employee retention credit, that was extended to I believe it was 6 quarters after you received it. So the way you file for the employee retention credit is by your quarterly payroll tax filings. Usually it's limited to 6 quarters from the first employee retention credit you get. Through the big, beautiful bill, it was about to be extended for 10 years. That was definitely, so it's on Congress's chopping block is what I'm trying to tell you. Congress is after that money. How much will they recover? I don't know. But it's on their chopping block for extending the prosecution's statute of limitations on those. I listened to the presentation of the guest. I think his name was Tom something. I typed his name into YouTube. I listened to a presentation he had. It's so stupid. Like the government is like they have all the information there. For typical SBA loans, by the way, they still check your credit report, and it's part of the routine submission process. They submit a 4506C form, which means if you sign it, they get a direct text transcript from the IRS, I think electronically transmitted. Doesn't even have to go through you. So I don't know what kind of emergency measures were being taken at that time. One more point on what Michael covered yesterday. He asked rhetorically, when Larry Kudlow was at the White House, he goes, would it have been better to disperse all this money and whatever happens, at least the money's out there, or have the system crash? I'll tell you what Scott Galloway would say. Scott Galloway would say a crash. And he always has this famous line, Scott, where he says, I had a crash that privileged me to get $8 for a share of Netflix or Amazon, which is now up to, where it's up to now. So I don't want to misquote the numbers. So there's that. Nancy, so I listened. Sean, that's funny. The government's stupid. Nancy, what I'm saying is, clawing it back, his guest on the second podcast that I listened to, his guest went back and said only 2% was clawed back over 2%. So 20% was fraudulently issued, according to the guest, and 2% was recovered. So I don't know how much you can actually recover at the end of the day, and how much you're going to spend on that recovery too. Is there anything to recover? It's, again, he said most of the fraud is got exported out of the country. You got a loan, you got a wire, you got a credit, and out it went to Russia, China, or another adversary, maybe. So there was that. Second thing I wanted to say about yesterday's program on Smerconish is he asked, can you be taught to critically think? I like to think that we're all critical thinkers here. That's what keeps us together, and really, really into the whole Smerconish program. But what I'm thinking is, teaching critical thinking these days comes down to really 2 elements: journalism, or journalism 101 at the very least, and the scientific method. The scientific method, you have a hypothesis, double blind, verification, no biases, controlled, what do they call that thing? A control, and that's that. Why? I mean, that's how we should be evaluating information these days. I wrote something, I think it was last week, where I wrote truths in the plural. And I said, today's day and age, it has to be a plural. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be a singular. There's no plural truths. And that takes me into another one of my hobbies, Open to Debate, which I'm sure you guys know, and I'm a regular attendee. They're based in New York. John Donvan hosts it, and he opens it up sometimes by saying, We're centered around the idea that there is one truth, and we debate that one truth. We don't debate with people who think there are multiple truths. So yeah, well, we hold these truths to be self-evident. I mean, I guess there's truths, but like it's dark at night and it's light in the day, right? I mean, that's the truth. That's the one truth. It can't be dark to some people during the day. I mean, just some things, there's just one truth, you know? I can't believe it. Anyways, it comes down to those two things. Who can you quote for a story? Who has more credibility? Is credibility lost? Uh, like a case that comes to mind, call me controversial, but there was there's the two stories that come to mind when critically thinking. You first have Admiral Stavridis came onto Michael's program years ago when Israel conducted the Beeper attack in Lebanon. The Wall Street Journal story, Stavridis said was pretty. I don't know. The sources on that didn't meet his standards. I don't want to misquote him, but a critical thinker should know what Stavridis was talking about. A critical reader, you can teach, say, look at who they cited. An anonymous source counts less than a direct source. A witness counts less than a spokesperson. Maybe, sometimes, depends on a variety of factors. A spokesman in Russia is not a spokesman in the United States. Defamation means this. So you can teach all of that. And that was my reaction. And the critically thinking thing, you can go back to something that happened Saturday, the Maduro thing. I put it out on X. I said I just posted my raw reaction. I said, did we just go into a country and take their president? And then I reserved judgment. CNN, I tuned into CNN. That was my first instinct. And I was looking at the coverage. I think it was Casey Hunt at the time. And they brought in some international law scholar from Notre Dame or somewhere in North Carolina. I forget where, who was a staunchly positioned attorney by saying it was illegal. This is in violation of the UN Charter, which was passed as a treaty and is the supreme law of the United States because it was passed by the Senate. Okay. But then I kept on getting other perspectives. I tuned into Fox and it was high praise for the heroic actions. And I still didn't know how I felt. I reserved the judgment. I was taking it in. And then I went into, I forget who mentioned that we did this in 1990. I tuned into Michael and Admiral Stavridis, and the Admiral was, I guess, right down the line. Listen, pro-America here, and I love our armed forces, and I thank our armed forces. I still didn't have an opinion formed after Michael and Stavridis covered it. I don't think I have an opinion formed now. I mean, if I had to say it, the Secretary General was right. This sets a dangerous precedent. I didn't see him denounce or condemn any action, but it sets a dangerous precedent. I mean, I know America didn't really recognize him as the head of state, but if he's a prisoner of war, he gets some sort of more increased rights. Anyways, going back to the point of critical thinking, that's what you could teach. You can reserve judgment. You don't have to tune into CNN or tune into MS Now or tune into Fox and then just parrot that point. That's just my reaction to that. Cool. So that's just my reaction to yesterday's program. I just prepared those in my head that I wanted to get out there. Feel free to let me know what you think if I babbled too much, and I'll go over today's poll question. Oh wow, funny. What a transition. If Iran uses force against protesters, should the U.S. respond militarily? I say no. No. What are we going to do? Are we going to go? What are we going to do? Are we going to go in and protect the protesters? By no means am I a fan of the Iranian regime, and honestly, I think the world will be a lot better place without them. Would I dedicate sources to regime change? I don't know. That's a much more of a question mark for me. Would I help Israel take out their nuclear reactors again? Yes, because a nuclear Iran is bad for the United States. For first and foremost, helping an ally is just a second benefit. What do like I said? What are we going to accomplish by that? They're going to have to overthrow that government in their own fashion. But damn, that's not us. Rubio has no place being the new Shah. Now, Thomas, question for you: the government gets overthrown. Do you put the Shah, the Prince Shah, who you know who I'm talking about? Do you put him back? He always said that he's okay with the transition government or something like that. So there's that. Yeah. Let me go over some other headlines that are in here, and then I guess we'll close it out. And then we'll talk. We'll talk in the group chat. We'll talk by email. And you know, like I said, this is totally fluid, and I'm learning with you guys. And yeah, let's make this something we want to. Just I'm with you guys. So markets rally after Venezuela action. Okay, so the markets like it. The markets, let me tell you, we spoke about COVID. The markets are in a world of their own. I lived through personally, I guess, technically the dot-com bubble, but really I remember 2008 being, you know, some crazy news kid. I guess I'm waiting for a crash now. I mean, I'm approaching 30. I'll be 30 in April. And I haven't experienced one in my adult life. So the market's really in a world of its own. I wonder how that's going to go. CDC cuts vaccine recommendations. I mean, this guy is RFK. I just got into a screaming match with my aunt this Saturday about vaccinations and how she doesn't want to do it. And because we politicized COVID so much, I can't believe that we're just really questioning vaccines that are proven for decades. Walls is not running. Well, I had no idea how he thought he was solvent until this point. And I read a different headline that people were pressuring Klobuchar to run. And I did think, is governor a step down from senator or a step up? I don't know. Hegseth goes after Kelly pension. I mean, that guy is just doing political stunts. Kelly is so popular, and Hegseth just needs to make a stink of things. Machado's Nobel gesture to Trump. Well, what's she doing? She would certainly love to give Trump her Nobel Peace Prize. I guess she wants to cozy up to Trump to be the head of state there. Person of interest in the dentist murder did not read up on that. Only a third support Maduro capture. Only a third of the U.S. Well, doesn't matter now. Oh, you're kidding me. You know this is going to strike a thread with me. The acting president blames Zionists for the U.S. operation that captured Maduro, asserting remains in the country legitimate leader despite her constitutional appointment. Trump renews the Iranian threat. Protests over Iran worsening economy have entered the 9th day as Trump renewed threats of U.S. intervention and Iran's leaders vowed to suppress dissent. Okay, so I'm going to react to the Zionists kind of thing, and then we'll close it out. I cannot give the anti-Zionists the slightest ounce of legitimacy when it comes to saying I'm only anti-Zionist, not anti-Semitic. The trope that this acting president, the hell is her name, Rodriguez, claims that Zionists were responsible. She means Jews. I mean, it's something that goes back to my college days, and I was in college 2014 to 18. The whole invention of I'm anti-Zionist, not anti-Semitic. Get the hell out. She means Jews. Guys, let's close it out. And we'll be in touch. I think I'll do this tomorrow or the next day. Definitely one of them. We'll talk. Thank you. Let me know how it was. I'll send out a follow-up email. Respond. Let me know how it is, and I'll take it from there. So, guys, I had fun. And yeah, have a great day. Looking forward to seeing you guys again. And yeah, let's roll. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.